Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Content Classroom. But this week, ladies and gentlemen, I have something very, very special lined up. I got sick of seeing myself on video, I'm not going to lie. I got sick of hearing my voice in the editing. My wife was telling me, Paul, I can't do this anymore. So I brought in the very talented Chris Reeve from Reeve Social Media to do a guest special edition takeover of the Content Classroom. Chris, thank you very much for agreeing to join us on this episode.
It's my absolute pleasure, Paul. Thank you for inviting me to do so.
No problem at all. No problem at all. So just to start with this, for everybody who's listening along, thinking, why am I going to continue listening to this? This is a special edition where we're going to look at not only what we can learn from social media and strategies in 2024, but also what can you do right for 2025? Conscious year end's coming up, March, April. Everybody's in panic mode as they come out of Christmas because they realise spent far too long eating mince pies and drinking whiskey and stuff. And what we're going to do now, for those of you who are a bit more proactive, you're thinking about it now before you go away on holiday, you need to listen to Chris. I'm going to hand over. Do your thing, Chris. I'm looking forward to hearing this.
Wow, what intro. Thank you, Paul. Really excited to be speaking with everyone today. I think you've kind of teed me up nicely, really, Paul, in the sense of, first of all, before we jump into 2025, it is important that we learn from 2024. And social is so fast moving, yes. And I do believe in testing and failing forwards and, trying all of the different options that are available to you. But at the same time, we do need to learn and reflect on what's worked and what's not in 2024. Please don't do that really awful insanity thing where you just keep doing the stuff that doesn't work, but you do just because it's just within your rota, your routine, your schedule. We need to learn. So first of all, that can come from obviously having an effective CRM, from having a team that actually asks your customers, how did they find out about your business? Have they seen your posts on social media? And if so, which social media site did they see your content from? Don't get me wrong, social is top of funnel, but at the same time, it can convert. So it's really interesting to go out to your customers, to your partners, to your network during this time of the year and actually get their honest thoughts and opinions on what they've seen out of your business on social media this year and ask them whether it's honestly contributed to them making that purchasing decisions. First of all, learn from 2024. And by the way, learning from 2024 doesn't necessarily mean, well, we've posted a load of stuff on Threads and it's got no engagement. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't work. That's the vanity metric, yes. But if your customers are seeing content on there and they believe that it was that specific piece of content that you can attribute to them converting, that's an important thing. So don't just take vanity metrics, engagement, impressions, reach, likes, followers as the be all and end all of what's working. Okay. So try and learn from 2024, spend an appropriate amount of time doing that. Next up is I want people to decide on their platforms for 2025. So this doesn't mean necessarily just sticking to the same things. I've already alluded to that. But at the same time, think about how much budget have you realistically got going into 2025? How much will you realistically have going into next year? Can you really afford to go full throttle on every single social media site? The answer might be yes, but it's probably no. And it's way better to absolutely smash 3 or 4 of these social sites than doing absolutely everything. And at the same time, think about when you're phasing in these platforms and how much noise and frequency you're committing to them. For example, phase 1 of 2025 might be, right, I'm going to create a really good strategy for my personal LinkedIn account. We've got a pre-existing audience on Facebook that's highly engaged. We're definitely going to live there. And we might maybe tap away at maybe a Blue Sky, a new platform coming through now, maybe Threads as well. We might develop that, but we're not going to prioritize it. So pick your platforms that you are going to truly be able to commit to in 2025. Essentially, what I'm kind of saying here is you probably shouldn't do everything at half mast. That's something that I would strongly consider going into the year. And the other thing linked to that is please don't change the goalposts. Here at Reeve Social Media, we work with so many clients where they will often change the goalposts. And I think it's a real shame because you tend to lose that progress. And so commit to something that's 2025 long and no shorter, and don't get distracted. You can still do flexible things within that. That's called trend jacking, when you jump on something that's relevant, a particular trend or a type of content that works within a platform. But once you've got your 2025 plan, please try your very best to stick to it, especially if you hire someone, you employ someone, you outsource your social to someone. They will be able to make so much more progress if you have a year-long commitment and campaign. And on that note, make sure that you've got those monthly focus points in. What are the things that you need to talk about in January 2025 that makes people commit to purchasing in April, May, June, July, maybe even December? It depends on your average lead to sale time. That's something else to consider. So make sure you're not changing the goalposts. You're thinking about your average lead to sale time, and you're talking about the things each month that will make you convert your prospects into clients, into customers at whichever point in 2025. The next thing is a real easy one. And you have to do this now, guys, is you must prioritize your personal LinkedIn accounts. For far too long, people have been sitting behind their corporate banners and they've been getting away with it. But the opportunity is now really running away with you. If you're not jumping on your personal LinkedIn account and you're creating effective, engaging, interesting, educational, entertaining content for your prospects, you're missing out. And not only are you missing out, I think actually you're losing a competitive advantage now, because if you're not laying down a brick on your personal LinkedIn account, your competitors certainly are. So make sure you're posting on your personal LinkedIn account and have your own personal LinkedIn account social strategy too. To start off with, it might be very similar to your business one, but just please, please, please hear it from me. Make sure that you're doing something rather than nothing. And kind of linked to that, you can create a baseline of non-time sensitive evergreen content that's consistent. So for example, I've already planned the vast majority of my content for 2025, and people will be thinking, blimmin' heck, how have you done that, Chris? Well, it's because I work in baselines, right? So for example, I will plan out every single post that I want to do on a Monday from now until the end of 2025. I will plan out every single video that I'm going to release on a Wednesday now until the end of 2025. And yes, it's not necessarily 10 out of 10 content, but it makes me ever present in people's feeds. I'm constantly turning up. I'm filling up their digital universe. They're always seeing Chris Reeve or Reeve social media. And that's because I work in baselines. It's because I don't overthink my content. So make sure you're establishing a strong baseline, evergreen, non-time sensitive content. That goes for your personal LinkedIn account as well as your business channels too. Then, of course, you can eventually go over the top of that. You might even decide to bin that baseline if you've got the time and resource to go over the top of it. But just don't do that thing that so many people fall into the trap of, where they focus on creating this 10 out of 10 piece of content that doesn't exist, by the way, because there's hundreds of thousands of variables per platform, and they lose traction, they lose momentum. They are not ever present on social media. Saying something is better than nothing. Keep it simple and make sure you're posting. Think about when you're posting too, all right? Think about the times that you're posting. Don't post between the hours of 9 to 5 if your audience are not online. Think about when they're online and schedule that content in advance for a time that they are actually going to be active on those platforms. Paul will like this one. Video is now a non-negotiable. It is not optional. I tried to be nice with people, but now it's the time to bring out the headmaster within me and say that you must commit to video content. And the platforms are prioritizing it more than ever before. Instagram are prioritizing it. LinkedIn are prioritizing it. Everyone is now, I'm sure, seen that LinkedIn have brought in a new video carousel feed within their home feed because they're prioritizing it, guys. Videos are getting at least 3 times more reach on all platforms. And that's omni-channel, that's everywhere, okay? And of course, with video, you can apply the Javelin magic to that, and you can get that transcribed, chopped up into short form clips, into quote graphics, into long form videos. You can do so many clever things with it. But you must start with video, make that commitment. And hey, you might even need some coaching in order to get yourself on camera, to commit to doing that. But I promise you with the reps, it will pay huge dividends for your business. Next year, 2025 is the year that you are going to commit to video content. And then I promise you that you will come my way and you'll say, Chris, Thank you so much for kicking me up the backside and telling me to do video content, because it's meant that my business has made more money as a consequence. And that's the important thing. I want you guys to think commercially about your social media. Do the things that actually turns the wheel, that moves the needle. When that snowball rolls down the hill, when someone sees a video and they make that purchasing decision, use that as a signal. Oh yeah, I need to do some more of that stuff rather than the stuff that doesn't work. So look, quite a general overview there, quite a quick fire thing, but to run through it briefly once more, learn from 2024, pick your platforms for 2025 and stick to them. Make sure that you prioritize your personal LinkedIn account. Get a strong baseline of evergreen, non-time sensitive content locked in for 2025. Video is non-negotiable. You must do it. There's no excuse. And make sure that if you do all of those things in 2025, you give yourself a pat on the back, because you will be making a difference for your brand and your business on social media.
Perfect. Some outrageous words of advice there. Thank you very much for summing all that up for us, Chris. And I hope that if you generally log into Content Classroom and you're stuck seeing my miserable face most of the time, you've thoroughly enjoyed the breakup of content with something a little bit different, and hopefully an interesting viewpoint that will set you up for success in 2025. Chris, thank you very much for being our guest on this week's episode of Content Classroom.
No worries at all. Thank you very much.